Things are gonna get crazy.
Most everyone's mad here.
Hello, my wonderful, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. It's been a little while, hasn't it? How are we all doing today? Hopefully you've been doing well since the last episode. I know that I did take a break last week, but there is a good reason. I already told you in the last episode, but I was just very busy, especially with both videos and even acting. I went to do a voiceover job where I'm not going to go into details just yet, but I was part of the cast of a French dub for an independent video game. And personally, I'm very excited to go and see my name in the credits to say that, yes, I did officially do a French dub. So for me personally, that is actually really cool. But not only that, I was also busy doing some series reviews. Yes, there will be a couple, by the way, not one, but two series reviews that I'm going to be doing. And there is one that's going to be coming very soon that's going to be really big. And I don't mean necessarily the series itself that's big, or in terms of like the quantity of episodes. And ooh, look at that new fish. Thank you so much, JF. But as I was saying, it's mainly because of the popularity of this show. And I was able to go and watch all of the episodes in one day and managed to catch the final episode, which was just released. Not on streaming, not on television, not even online, but in theaters. Now, I know I normally don't do this, but in this case, however, this is actually a very unique case, considering I've had many people asking me if I would go and review these types of animated shows. But in this case, however, yes, it is finally happening. Coming this Friday, I will be releasing my review of The Amazing Digital Circus. And yes, it will include a section where I will do a completely spoiler-free talk on the last act. And of course, it will be coming out on Wednesday on Patreon before it gets released on YouTube. And don't worry, unlike the Barnyard review, which all happened so stupidly at the last minute that caused some little complications there, but there are no copyright troubles with that Amazing Digital Circus review. So just thought I would go and give you all the heads up on that. But anyways, when it comes to this episode, yes, we're going to go and try to catch up on the latest animation news. I know that there's been a whole lot that's been going on, including some new ones that just happened. In fact, I believe it was today or maybe even yesterday as well that was reported that the Super Mario Galaxy movie has officially become the first film of 2026 to cross over $1 billion at the box office. And not to mention all the variety of different news that happen at what was it again? Summer Game Fest or something like that. There's been like one day of like a plethora of different video game news that has been announced. But then again, tomorrow, as I'm recording this, there's also going to be a Nintendo Direct. So maybe I'll go and save that on the next episode. But what I'm going to do here is that it's not only going to be some animation news from this week, but I'm also going to go and talk about some of the ones from the previous week as well, considering that there have been some major shocking news that has occurred. And I'll even say now, one of which may possibly be the biggest animation related scandal of the year. So we're going to have a heck of a fun time today, especially with the materials I have for you here. So without further ado, now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you all, who is ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Come on, let me hear it, everyone. Who is ready now? All right, so let's see. Yes. Oh, and of course, considering this is technically the first AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast episode of June, yes, happy Pride Month to the LGBTQ plus community, you beautiful people. And yes, I do see that people are all prepared, people are all set, and now, with all that said and done, it is now time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story, well, actually, the first couple of stories that I have, it's actually going to be some trailers that we are going to go and watch. And the first one that we have is actually going to be a teaser trailer. And believe it or not, we're already getting previews for what's going to be to come next year. And I'm just going to warn you now, with this one, there's not going to be a whole lot to necessarily go and talk about, but I know that many fans out there are anticipating for my reaction to what we are about to see here. So, without further ado, why don't we go and begin by taking a look at the teaser trailer for the upcoming Disney, well, now technically Disney animated feature. Well, technically it is more a 20th century animated feature, Ice Age Boiling Point. Hold on, let's back it up to make sure we're at the start. And here we go. And that is Ice Age Boiling Point, to which the movie is going to be coming out in theaters on February 5th, 2027. Now, this is just a minute-long teaser that doesn't necessarily say a whole lot about what's going to be in store. In fact, this pretty much tells us exactly what we have already known, and that is the main Ice Age characters are going to be coming back. Specifically, Sid, Manny, Diego, and on top of that, we also got Ellie and Buck. And on top of that, even their respective actors are going to be coming back, considering they did advertise that we are also going to be getting Ray Romano, Dennis Leary, John Leguizamo, Simon Pegg, and Queen Latifah. So it's just this little explosion, and then we see all the characters suddenly bumping into each other in comedic ways. And I will say that I'll get this out of the way now. There actually was one moment that I will admit it was a cute gag. It was actually pretty funny. And it was actually with Buck Wild, actually. It was like his little moment where he did add in a little bit of a twist right over here. So let's just back that up and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, that I will admit is a little bit cute. I mean, like, especially with capturing Buck's personality, that he's a little bit more cartoony and crazy. And that's another thing that I want to go and add is also with the animation. It does look pretty nice as well. And it looks like it does remain true to how Blue Sky Studios crafted it when they were making the Ice Age movies. So it does look like a promising continuation, at least in terms of the visuals, and at least with Buck Wild and his little cute gag that they got over here. So in terms of those aspects, honestly, okay. So like, at least it does clarify Ice Age is back. Maybe there are a few jokes that I can understand. It won't fly with everyone. Like there are some dumb gags, like of course, like they would go into those kinds of like jokes where like you got Sid bumping his butt onto Diego and he has flies around it to emphasize that he still smells and stuff. So at least like there are those aspects going on. But this is not what you guys want to hear me talk about, though. It's not about any of that. It's not about Buck. It's not about the animation. No, the thing that you want to hear me talk about is actually in regards to the new thing that we have learned about in this teaser. the new thing that was never mentioned in the past, and yet now we got a confirmation that this is indeed happening. And that is the fact that, well, the 5 characters I mentioned, they're not going to be alone, because we also got these freaking dickbags right over here. Like, honestly, when I saw that teaser trailer and I saw the post that everybody was commenting towards me about their return, honestly, my inner Quebecois had to come out, and I just saw this going, not these freaking guys. Yes, folks, it is confirmed. Crash and Eddie will indeed be returning for Ice Age Boiling Point. And that honestly really took down so many points of my anticipation for this feature, because honestly, I'm not gonna lie, there was a moment where I felt like maybe, just maybe, this would have potential. Because they only mentioned that the 5 main characters of the Ice Age franchise would be coming back. And I'll give it credit that they did manage to trim out a lot of the fat. And so many characters from the 4th and the 5th movie are pretty much gone. You don't get any of the other girlfriends, like you don't get Diego's girlfriend or Sid's girlfriend. You don't get that weird llama dude. You don't get the pirates. You don't get Sid's grandma. You don't get any of those coming back, at least so far. And for a while, like, they never mentioned that Crash and Eddie would be coming back. And a part of me thought to myself, okay, if we are kind of having this reset on the Ice Age franchise, there could actually be a possibility where maybe this could actually be worthwhile. Like, I know the Ice Age franchise has been way too overdone when Blue Sky Studios was handling it. But if there would be a way to make a sequel actually feel necessary and feel like it would be worth bringing it back, it's to go and make a massive reset and try to step back to where, you know, bring Ice Age back to where it all began, where we don't have so many of these unnecessary comic reliefs and just stick to the primary characters. I mean, it would be perfect if they would just focus on Sid, Manny, Diego, and also have the shenanigans of Scrat. You know, I'd be perfectly fine with it. But at that point, then they also revealed, well, Buck Wild's coming back and Ellie's coming back, and that I personally did not mind. And honestly, one major thing that I was also very hopeful throughout all this is the possibility that Crash and Eddie would not come back. If they remove those guys, then I would honestly be open to the possibility that we could have more Ice Age films under Disney. Like, I was open to that. I was thinking maybe that could work. But now with this confirmation that they are indeed returning, I just felt like its chances have been sabotaged. And honestly, and you know what? The thing that is so perplexing is just like, I'm just wondering, does this mean that we're not going to be retconning what they did with that Disney Plus movie? Because I recall at the end of that, Crash and Eddie decided that they wanted to split ways from the main Ice Age crew so that they could live in the Dino world with Buck or something like that. Like, can't we make that canon? Or I guess with Buck also coming back up, maybe Crash and Eddie would as well. I don't know, but it's honestly a massive disappointment. And I would not be this upset with Crash and Eddie coming back if Disney would tell us in the first place that they would be bringing back Crash and Eddie. Because again, for the longest time, ever since it was first announced, they just told us that they only got the 5 characters coming back along with Scrat and Baby Scrat as well. They only mention those 5. That's it. Sid, Manny, Diego, Ellie, and Buck. And no one else would go in return. And suddenly seeing these guys coming back, that just felt like a massive lie. Like, if Crash and Eddie were going to be in the movie in the first place, why couldn't you just tell us that we would also be getting Josh Peck and Sean William Scott as well? Like, why don't you go and add them into the credits along with everyone else, with Ray Romano and John Leguizamo and Simon Pegg and all those guys? Why don't you go and tell us that they're also going to be returning to go and reprise their roles too? Why? Are their names not big enough to go and put in the credits to advertise that this is happening? I don't know. I think I'm more upset that I felt like I was lied to by Disney about the possible chances that Crash and Eddie would not be returning. And I know technically, like, Disney never said that they wouldn't be coming back, but still, though, the fact that I had my hopes high on that possibility is why it honestly hurts to learn that Crash and Eddie are indeed going to be a part of Ice Age Boiling Point. Now, with that said, is there a chance that this movie could turn out to be good? Of course. There's always that possibility. I mean, maybe when this will come out, it could probably surprise me, and it could turn out to be an entertaining time, and might even turn out to be about as good as Dawn of the Dinosaurs, or hell, maybe even as good as the first Ice Age. There is always that chance. But for now, though, however, my anticipation for this has gone significantly down. I don't honestly, I used to be like cautiously optimistic when coming in at the least, but now I'm more just neutrally cautious. Like, honestly, at that point with Crash and Eddie coming back, I wouldn't be surprised if this would just be another unnecessary sequel that feels like a cash grab, no different than what we have gotten with the later Ice Age sequels like Continental Drift and Collision Course. So who knows at that point, but safe to say, because of Crash and Eddie, Boiling Point is no longer among my most anticipated animated films of 2027. And I mean, it wasn't even up there in the first place. I mean, it's not like on par with like Beyond the Spider-Verse, Gato, or Frozen 3. But still, though, seeing that, like, still, like, it was close to it, but now it's like, okay, never mind. Maybe this is just going to be, you know, another franchise film, and hope we could, you know, maybe, who knows, maybe we'll just forget about it soon after watching it and soon after I review it, and then we can move on. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm a bit disappointed to learn that Crash and Eddie are going to be coming back. And for those of you who still want to go and check out Boiling Point, then keep in mind it's going to be coming out in theaters on February 5th, 2027. And with that said, now I would like to pass this on to the chat wall, and I'm going to go and ask you all, what do you all think about Ice Age Boiling Point? What did you think about the teaser trailer? Did you guys like what you just saw? Are you more optimistic about it than I am? Do you think there is a chance that maybe this could still turn out good? Or do you think that, yeah, this will probably turn out to be another piece of crap from Ice Age? Let me know what you all think. All right, so let's see now. Insert gif of Poe Dameron sighing. Somehow, Crash and Eddie has returned. Yeah, I'm on the same page in that I was not expecting them to come back, and quite frankly, glad they weren't back. Boy, was I foolish to think that, but who knows? Maybe they'll hopefully have a minor role and don't talk much. They're not listed as part of the cast. He'll kill them for all I care, but maybe that's wishful thinking. As for the teaser, I don't know what to expect from this, really. Guess we'll see. Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe right now, that's the best that we could go and hope for, is that maybe Crash and Eddie are not going to be there as much as the previous features. Hopefully, their annoying presence will not be, like, too prominent in here, and that either their role will just be reduced as, like, a cameo, or they're just going to be on the side and they're mostly going to be silent. I mean, that would be very nice, but the fact that they're still in there in the first place, it's like I said, it's disappointing. All right, so let's see. I mean, it looks better than Buck Wild. The main boon of this teaser is the animation. The animation. The visuals look really good, especially with the textures on Manny's trunk. But even then, does good animation really warrant a 6th movie? I'll hold on to the hope that it'll turn out to be good, but Disney, we had a deal. You kill off Crash and Eddie, and that was the deal. Oh well, I should count my blessings that Julian isn't back, right? Well, there is that. I mean, we haven't even seen Peaches in this either. So, I guess you gotta get what you can. And like I said, at the very least, they did take the right steps of so far getting rid of all the characters from the 4th and the 5th movie. And my God, there are so many unnecessary characters that were in there that honestly, they made the experience of those films so much worse. So it was it kind of feels like it's 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. I think that's the best way to go and describe it. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, I doubted that they would get rid of Crash and Eddie, and I'm still iffy on the fact if Boiling Point would be good or not, but I still hope it's still better than Collision Course at least. Also, I'm surprised that the teaser trailer for Ice Age Boiling Point isn't the Scrat opening or an original Scrat chase scene for the teaser trailer, as all the previous main Ice Age movies use for their teaser trailers. I mean, that is honestly true, and I never thought of that. But then again, I guess in a way, you could say maybe this is just the teaser of the teaser. Keep in mind that we're still months away from that Ice Age movie. We're so far we're just in the middle of the year, and this is going to be coming out in February. So maybe at some point, maybe in the fall or something like that, we will get another trailer or maybe another teaser that it could be just that'll mainly focus on the Scrat antics. But for now, however, in fact, I think at I believe it was CinemaCon where they did actually showed a preview of Ice Age Boiling Point, and it was actually that. It was one of the scenes that's just Scrat and Baby Scrat. So maybe at some point we will see that as a trailer for this movie. All right, let's see. I'll confidently say that I had some excitement seeing sorry, I was tripping on my own words there. I'll confidently say that I have some excitement seeing Ice Age Boiling Point. The animation is solid, some of the slow motion parts is funny, and I'll admit Baby Scrat is adorable. The fact that Crash and Eddie is coming back, to quote Harry Potter, "You liar!" Regardless, let's hope it'll be at least decent. The bar is a bit low, but please let it be decent that's actually worth it. Exactly. I mean, a realistic goal that I am hoping for Boiling Point is that it can, at minimum, be better than Collision Course and The Adventures of Buck Wild, because that bar is set extremely low, and it's honestly easy for a team of filmmakers and animators to make something at least better than that. And if they can go and achieve that, well, at least it can be something. Let's see what else we got here. So my guess is this will be a requel in the sense that movies 4 and 5 are ignored since Crash, Eddie, and Buck still exist, and the girlfriends of Sid and Diego are nowhere to be found. Peaches will probably be mentioned, but off screen somewhere. I don't have enough information to say whether I think it'll be bad or not. I just won't see it. I think Crash's voice actor either lied or just wasn't asked to reprise. I wouldn't be surprised if those two were just recast. If that were actually the case, though, then that could be a positive sign that their roles are significantly minor. If Disney didn't even bother to bring back Josh Peck and Sean William Scott to reprise their roles as Crash and Eddie, then maybe that just means that they won't have much of a role in the first place. That is a high probability right there. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Sean William Scott did actually lie to go and mislead the information, because after all, as an actor, he did sign an NDA and he shouldn't go out and reveal what's been going on. I mean, actors have done that quite commonly to ensure that the secret of what the project they have worked on can still be kept. So there is still that chance. I'll read one more comment and then we'll go on to onto our first break. So let's see. With the news that the same director of Buck Wild movie is coming back to do the directing job, I wonder if this was meant to be another straight to streaming film, yet was reworked into a theatrical film with the original cast. That is a good question. And I mean, I'm sure maybe the story about the making of this film will be revealed soon enough, maybe by the end of this year or at the start of 2027. But for now, there's so much of it that still remains a mystery. But we did get one piece of new information. It's just, unfortunately, that new piece of information, it makes the movie significantly worse. But who knows? Again, I could be wrong. And there is always that chance that maybe this movie could turn out to be both good and worthwhile. So once again, if you guys are curious to see how Ice Age Boiling Point is going to be, then keep in mind that it shall be coming out in theaters on February 5th, 2027. All right, so we're going to go on to our first break. And when we do come back, we're going to go and watch another trailer, but this is a very unique case in which we're going to be checking out a trailer of a movie that I've already seen. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back. Now, when it comes to the next trailer we are about to see, yes, this is one that I've already seen. In fact, I already watched this movie last summer. It does come with a little bit of a story that, for those of you who watch my videos, are probably a bit familiar with, but I'll go and explain that a little bit later. But I will say that now it is actually going to be getting a wider release. And even though it's not necessarily a theatrical release and this is just for streaming, still though, it is exciting to see how others are going to be reacting to this feature, especially when this is actually noted to be a bit of a historical one, considering that this is the first stop motion animated feature to be fully produced in Mexico. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the next trailer, which will be of the upcoming Netflix distributed animated movie, I Am Frankelda.
What I really want is to be a writer. She's a little crazy, don't you think, buddy?
I am Frankelda.
And that was I Am Frankelda, to which the movie is going to be coming out on Netflix very soon, actually. In fact, it's coming out this Friday on June 12th. And yes, folks, I have already seen this movie last summer. I was actually very fortunate enough where it actually premiered, well, maybe not at like its world premiere, but it was actually showcased at the Fantasia Film Festival back in 2025. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go and check it out. And like, you know, to help go and support more indie animation, you got to do more than just like, you know, support them just on social media and the internet. Why not go and actually go to the festivals and experience some new flavors of animation that you normally would never get in regular theaters and stuff like that. So I decided to go and take that opportunity, and honestly, I had a blast with it. Like, my time on that day was a lot of fun. And even before going to see the movie, there was this art gallery just a couple of blocks away that actually showcased some of the puppets that were featured. So in a way, yes, I met Frankelda herself. And when I did go and see the movie, of course, it was a special screening of it where the Ambers brothers, and I believe one of the producers, were also there to go and present the film as well. And I gotta say that I really enjoyed this feature. In fact, in my top 5 best and worst animated films of 2021, this movie actually made it to the number 5 best. So it really that is an example of how I actually enjoy this movie. So I believe I did talk about this before on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, but when I heard that Netflix was about to go and pick it up to go and present it globally, that honestly made me very excited. Because this is one of those movies that I really want to see this succeed, because I could tell that this is the kind of feature that when people will watch this, they are going to love it, especially when it comes to the romance between Frankelda and I'm trying to remember the prince's name, Prince Hernandez, I believe. I could totally be wrong on that. But yeah, there's this romance that their chemistry is very interesting, and the musical numbers. If you're more, if you're a fan of more operatic songs and musical numbers, this is going to absolutely deliver. I will tell you right now, the songs are a true highlight of this, including one that's like 6 to 7 minutes long that features the entire cast. That is the big showstopper of the movie. So I'll go and tell you that right now. So yes, when I heard Netflix was ready to go and Hernaval, yes, that's it. Best were did I? Oh, I might have messed up a few times. I think I meant the top 5 best and worst of 2025. Yes, okay, yes, that's what I meant. Sorry. And yes, the prince is named Hernaval. And oh my god, people, chat wall, calm yourselves, for God's sakes. Okay, calm down, people, because I'm starting to see in the I see in the chat wall people are going 6, 7, so it's like, oh schnut, here we go again. But anyways, to go back into the subject, yes, I really like I Am Frankelda, and I'm really happy to see that it did get this opportunity where it could get a chance to be viewed by everyone, considering this is not just a national release, it's not just a US release, it's going to be released worldwide. So I'm going to be very excited to see how people are going to react to I Am Frankelda when it's going to be released globally, which will be very soon. And yes, even though I did do a short, quick review last year when talking about I Am Frankelda, and yes, I had that little mention in the top 5 best and worst of 2025. I'll say right now, I will be doing a full review of it. So when the movie will be coming out on Netflix, I'm going to go straight to go and making my review, and we'll have that prepared for next week, just to go and let you know on that. But one thing I will say, however, the biggest surprise that I saw in this trailer, even though I have seen it, is that apparently when I Am Frankelda will be released, it's also going to come with an English dub. Because when I went to go and see it at Fantasia, it was just the Spanish dub. Because keep in mind, this is a Mexican animated feature, so of course the main language that the characters are going to speak will be in Spanish. And I'll say right now, when it comes to my first impressions of the voiceover, I will say that this might be something I might have to get used to, because I do feel like it's one of the weakest elements when it comes to what we have seen in this trailer. Now, one actor, I will say, like, technically, now, I don't know if it's been revealed yet, but I don't know if they've mentioned who's going to be among the English cast, but I will say the one actor that does stand out, and I felt like they've done well so far with what they presented in the trailer, is actually Frankelda herself. Frankelda is actually, I will say the performance that she did put out is not really that bad. I will say, like, if we go, maybe we'll just back up to like over here at the end. So if we just take a listen.
I am Frankelda.
That I will say, her performance so far does sound very promising. It's just the other characters, however, the acting, so far it doesn't sound that strong. Like, especially Hernaval sound like the voice of Hernaval sounds more like he's just reading his lines instead of actually acting his lines. And even when it comes to the villain character, like the old writer of the Spooks Kingdom, like his acting, like it sounds a little bit like hokey, you know, it sounds a bit exaggerated. So I don't know. I'm not necessarily that much of a fan when I'm hearing in terms of like the voiceover. And I think, I don't know, maybe it's just me. Now, keep in mind, like, I'm not like a major anime watcher. Like, I don't often go and watch like English dubs of anime or stuff like that. Or like, I don't often watch English dubs of international movies and shows and stuff like that. But I feel like one thing that bothers me, and it might sound like a strange criticism, is that I don't know how to feel about the American accent being used. I feel like I'm not saying that they should be totally Spanish, but for me, I feel like considering with the setting being like this entirely Mexican animated feature, I feel like it would work a little bit better if they would go and add in just a slight Mexican, or not, maybe like a slight Spanish accent. You know, try to do something like Coco, where you hear the accents of the characters, and I mean, they are a little bit subtle, but they are there, and they do help immerse you to make you remember that this is a Mexican setting, even though we're transported into this magical world. But in here, however, you listen to the accents, and the fact that they're the fact that they go a lot more American with them, I'm just not really that much of a fan of. Like, you go and take a listen here.
This is the story of two realms. The world of...
Okay, no, that's, no, maybe not this part, but, yeah, like right over here. Sorry, that's just more Frankelda. But right over here, for example.
The nightmares you write no longer frighten humans. Without new nightmares, our realm will die.
My God, why is his delivery so choppy? Like, honestly, like, as an actor, like, I've gained a lot more of an ear on this, but, like, I don't know if it's maybe because of, like, you know, trying to dub a movie can be a bit of an extra challenge, but I don't know. It just sounds strange. Like, when you hear it, it's like, we must find a new writer. But if we don't, then our world will go and die. It's like, what the fridge is going on? Like, do you have that like, did you give her Naval that same speaker that Doug had in Up? It's like what's with the choppy delivery? I don't know. It just it sounds a bit off. I don't know if maybe it's just me, but that's why I'm saying that maybe at best the voice acting needs to get used to. And I mean, we still got like a little bit more over here. Like,
I want to bring in another writer, a human.
That's blasphemy! That's nonsense! There can't be two royal nightmare makers!
Now that's what I gotta say. Like, that's the villain that I'm talking about. And that one just sounds so, like, he honestly sounds like the kind of voice acting that people expect from 4Kids. Like, when you hear people, like, parodying 4Kids dubs and you hear, like, that kind of acting, that's honestly how it feels. It's like, that is blasphemy. There can't be a human writer. Oh, but yeah, some people even comment precisely. Yeah, at that point, why don't we go and bring in freaking Mike Pollock into this? No, but for real though, honestly, that's my one big criticism with what we have been hearing in the voiceover, or like with this trailer in general. I don't know how I'm gonna feel when hearing the English dub. I think honestly, like, I will do that honestly. I am gonna go and watch the English dub for the reviews to go and have like a fair comparison to how it is with the original, but we'll see. Honestly, like, I don't know. I feel like that's gonna be that's going to be like among the weaker parts with the I Am Frankelda experience. But overall, though, like I said before, since I've already seen it, I am so excited with this movie coming out and to see how people are going to react to this feature. I'm honestly very happy for the Ambrose brothers that they got this opportunity and that now their movie is going to be widely distributed on a major platform like Netflix. So we'll see how reactions are going to be when I Am Frankelda is going to be coming out this Friday on June 12th. And with that said, now I would like to pass this. I would like to pass this on to the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you all, what do you all think about the I Am Frankelda trailer? Are you guys excited to go and check it out? Are there some things that you're not sure? Like, do you have any criticisms you want to go and share it? And you know what? Let's go and make things a little bit interesting. And let's actually go and make a poll, since it's been a little while since we've had one of those going on. So let me go and ask you all, are you going to watch I Am Frankelda? So I'll write down yes, and I'll write down no, and see what the chat wall has to say over here. Come on, folks, let me see you share your thoughts. All right. I envy you for seeing the movie early last year and seeing the puppets themselves. I hope to find the time to watch it since it looks so good. The stop motion is lovely, the voice acting is good, and I really love the designs. I didn't got much to say, but it's definitely going to be a treat. Also, Matt, congratulations on saying 2 of the funny numbers. Oh, God. God, people, I don't care what people might say. This might be a hot take. No, 6-7 is not a funny number, okay? I have been raised in an age where 69 is the funny number, okay? Don't give me any of that freaking 6-7 nonsense. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Well, this looks like an interesting film. I really need to catch up to watching your reviews. I haven't been consistent since 2019. I think I'll watch that for my movie night with my sister. Granted, this week the movie will be Hoppers again. I think the English dub seems weak as well. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, my best recommendation so far is, if you can, if the dub is going to be like that throughout the film, then I recommend maybe like keep it to the Spanish sub. Like, if you're capable and if you're okay with watching sub movies, or at least movies with subtitles, then do so with I Am Frankelda. Because honestly, I had a much more enjoyable time watching it in Spanish than watching the trailer in the English dub, hearing that kind of performance. Let's see what other comments are there. Honestly, cannot wait. This looks great. It looks like something Henry Selick would do, with the best intentions, of course. The voice casting is a bit mixed at times, but this was a rush job due to this being a trailer. Also, this comes out on my birthday. Honestly, this is good, and if it does well, we could see more Mexican movies. Oh, happy early birthday. Very nice, very nice. Oh, and you know what? I almost forgot to mention that when it comes to the visuals and when it comes to crafting this movie, you know one person who actually helped them out? Guillermo del Toro. And I mean, if you look back into the trailer and you look at how the world was made and stuff like that, here, I'll go and mute it so that we don't have to hear that acting again. But you take a look at the world building, you take a look at all the different monsters and stuff like that, and you could tell that, yeah, Guillermo del Toro did indeed have a bit of an influence when it comes to crafting all this. So just thought I would go and let you know that even though maybe you're not as familiar with the Ambrose brothers, you could say this is a Guillermo del Toro mentored movie. All right, so let's see what else we got here. This trailer does look impressive and has my interest. Actually, before we do that, oh yes, the results of the polls. And, well, good to know that the majority of you have said that you are planning to go and see the movie, in which 86% of you who have voted have said, yes, you are going to go and check it out, while 14% of you have said no. So at least I got the majority to have you interested in checking this out. Anyways, back to the comment. As I was saying here, this trailer does look impressive and has my interest. Visually, it's really impressive, and it gives me massive Henry Selick and Tim Burton vibes in terms of the visuals and animation. The story seems very intriguing too, although the English dub, I can understand where you're coming from, so overall, this has potential. Also, personally for me, I'm probably gonna have to watch the English dub. I always prefer English dub over sub. I mean, that's perfectly fine. I mean, you do you in terms of how you want to watch your stuff. So, like, do it, you know, if you can't watch subtitled movies and you want to stick to dubs, that's perfectly okay. At least you're still going to be, you're still going to be watching it. You're still going to be experiencing it. Let's see. I've always been interested in this movie since you first discussed it last year, and this looks truly mesmerizing. I can understand how the dub can be a bit weak and cringy, but I've heard worse. I mean, I survived the dub of Lost in Starlight, and I've heard that one's pretty bad. Honestly, I don't think I've heard of that dub right there, so I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see with how that goes, but hey, at least many of you seem to be interested in checking this movie out, which, again, I am very excited to see how people's reaction are going to be. And honestly, I want to see other people have that joy when I had that last year when I saw the movie. So if you guys are interested in checking out I Am Frankelda, then keep in mind that the movie shall be released on Netflix this Friday on June 12th. And with that said, now we're going to go on to our next break. And when we do come back, well, unfortunately, the mood is going to be a little bit down, considering that we will be discussing about the unfortunate passing of one person who has made a highly memorable animated feature and left quite a legacy and quite a great impact with the work that she has done. So stay tuned for that. Welcome back. Now, when it comes to our next story, we are going to go and talk about a significant figure who has sadly passed away. And I know that there have been a few that unfortunately we have lost. And one example I saw the chat wall brought up is Peebo Bryson, who you may recognize as the singer during the credit songs of Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin. Specifically, he did the credit cover of Beauty and the Beast and A Whole New World. So unfortunately, he's no longer with us, and may he rest in peace, of course. But when it comes to the next one that I want to talk about here, this is a passing that I gotta say was quite shocking and very unexpected. You would think that with this person, considering that she was still relatively young, or at least young enough to still be far away from passing away of old age, sadly, death decided to go and grab her a little sooner than planned. So with that said, let's go and discuss about the passing of Marjane Satrapi. Yes, French-Iranian filmmaker Marjane Satrapi has unfortunately passed away at the age of 56. Now, with Marjane Satrapi, and here, I'm just going to go and put this on the side, excuse me. The thing with Marjane Satrapi, the reason why she passed away so young, the best way to describe it is due to depression or died of a broken heart. And this is actually confirmed by close friends and family. So just to go and read you here from my source on Variety, it actually says here that Marjane Satrapi died of sadness a little over a year after the death of Matthias Ripa, her husband and the love of her life, whom he had unfortunately passed away last year on April 8th. And unfortunately, this was something that she couldn't emotionally recover from. And well, eventually she joined him in the afterlife from there. Now, the thing with Marjane Satrapi is that she has done numerous of feature films, and she has actually been noted to be a director of films such as Chicken with Plums in 2011. Most of these are comedies, by the way. So along with Chicken with Plums, she has also done Gang of the Jodas in 2012, which is said here to be a crime comedy about two friends who travel to Spain for a badminton tournament and get caught up in an airport luggage mix-up. Satrapi also starred in the film opposite Ripa. And also, to go back to Chicken with Plums, it even says here, it is the story of a musician who loses the will to live after his wife breaks his instrument in an argument, which premiered in competition in Venice in 2011. Then you got 2019, where Satrapi was the director of a movie called Radioactive, which is actually a biopic of Marie Curie. And then afterwards, she has also noted that, well, the last film that she has created was the 2024 dark comedy Dear Paris, which it says here that it is set in the French capital where a flurry of charming characters confront death only to embrace life once again. But her most iconic role, and what she is the most recognized for, is actually a graphic novel that she actually did back, I believe, in the mid-2000s or somewhere in the 2000s, called Persepolis, which is an autobiography graphic novel that talked about her childhood and growing up as an Iranian. Specifically, just to go and read what is said right here. Satrapi, who grew up in an upper middle class family in Tehran, was a 10-year-old child when Ayatollah Khomeini came to power in 1979. An outspoken critic of Iran's government, she arrived in France in 1994 and gained French nationality in 2006. In 2007, she and co-director Vincent Perronneau made the animated film Persepolis, based on Satrapi's autobiographical best-selling graphic novel about her experience growing up in Iran at the time of the 1979 revolution, that offers a wry, satirical take on the oppressive life under the rule of the mullahs. Persepolis won the jury prize at the Cannes Film Festival and was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the 2008 Academy Awards. So that's the main thing with Marjane Satrapi, is that she was the creator of Persepolis. And I'm just going to go and say this right now. I am personally not familiar with the later works of Marjane Satrapi. I'll admit I haven't seen stuff like Dear Paris or Chicken with Plums. That could be something I could do some research. And if they're great, then I'll definitely go and keep an eye on them. But what I mainly know her for, and I'm sure with most people at the same time, is in regards to her life story that she has presented in Persepolis. And this is actually a movie that I have reviewed a year and a half ago, like at the start of 2025. And honestly, I love that feature. It is a fantastic movie that I highly recommend you all to go and check it out. If you haven't seen it yet, please do so. It is a very fascinating animated feature, and one that I will say that, to be honest, nowadays, it's one of the most important movies to go and check out right now to have a better understanding of what's been happening with the world right now. Because unfortunately, in times like this, in times where we're starting to see more and more fascist governments and authoritarian regimes that have been on the rise, especially with the US under Donald Trump, the Persepolis actually provides a very good example of like the cautionary life that's going on in authoritarian regimes. And yes, Iran is definitely one of them. Like, we see how life can honestly be very difficult, and how there are those strict rules that would need to be followed, or else, well, the price to pay would probably be with your life. And in that regard, like, it's fascinating, but at the same time, it's terrifying. But again, it highlights a reality that unfortunately is going on in this world that we are seeing. And even in places, yes, like the US, we are starting to see that authoritarian Iran-style government that's also being applied there, especially stuff like with ICE that's just running amok in major cities like in Chicago, in Minneapolis, in Los Angeles, and all that kind of stuff. So that's why it's very important to go and see it. And when it comes to Marjane Satrapi, especially in her role in the picture, like, it's honestly very admirable to see what she went through, and to see how she went through, how she experienced all that and pushed through all of it. Because as I mentioned in my review, basically, the way that Marjane Satrapi was framed in Persepolis is that she's like the embodiment of the resistance. Now, she's not perfect, and she has her own personal struggles as well, especially when she has a hard time to accept herself as an Iranian woman. And especially, like, regardless if she would be like in Europe or if she would be in her home in Iran, being a woman or even being an Iranian woman immigrating to another country, you're not necessarily at the top of the food chain, unfortunately. Like, there are going to be some societal hierarchies that would go and immediately place you down. But with Marjane's attitude, she has always shown, even in her childhood, that she has to keep pushing through it if she wants to have that freedom to be herself, that she can be whoever she wants to be without facing the consequence from the government or from the cultural rules that is established by authoritarian regimes. And even as a woman, like, she's not afraid to go and stand up and show her feminist side, to say that a lot of these rules that are being applied to authoritarians are bullcrap, and that it's nothing more but patriarchal nonsense. In fact, there's actually one clip I want to go and show you, and it shows a great example of the kind of resistance that Marjane Satrapi would go and present. So just to go and share you this little clip over here from Persepolis, because I think, honestly, if we are going to go and talk about the legacy of Marjane Satrapi, we got to at least show one clip from Persepolis to show, like, her role in the feature, and especially the kind of ideologies that she would deliver.
It is our worried they'll get turned on by a few less inches of veil.
She does raise a very good point. And that's the thing that you see in a lot of these authoritarian regimes, rather it be the kind that would be in the Middle East, or even the kind that are American grown as well, the kind that Trump supporters would unironically go and believe. A lot of it is just placing a heavy amount of rules onto women, while men get away with so much more. And that, rather it be in terms of their behaviors or in terms of what they wear or anything like that, they get to go and do whatever they want. It's basically the law of boys will be boys, and that excuse would let them get away with so much more than what women would go and do. It's basically this. Again, this is just one example of the kind of ideologies that Marjane Satrapi would go and deliver, and actually do bring up a lot of good points about the major flaws when it comes to authoritarian regimes, or even like with similar different forms, rather it be with far-right extremism, conservative style traditional values, when it comes to fascism and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there are a lot of massive flaws where freedom would end up becoming the biggest price to go and pay. Basically, it's ruled by people who are so desperate for power that they want to take the freedom of everyone else so that they could collect it for themselves. Similarly to billionaires who just collect so much money, and even taking money from other people so that they could go and, like, have it in their hoard to make them look super powerful and super rich and stuff like that. And this is exactly why it is a very unfortunate loss to see Marjane Satrapi go, and especially at a young age at 56. I mean, like, it's not every day that you go and hear that someone would die of a broken heart. And I mean, I like, yeah, you would often hear in stories and stuff like that about like, oh no, I would die of loneliness, but it can actually be quite a real thing. Like, I don't know if there's going to be an autopsy in the future that may reveal a little bit more, but, you know, sometimes, like, you know, when you love someone so dearly and then suddenly they're gone, it can be hard to go and imagine what life would be without them. So it's at that point, it's just, it really is too bad. And I guess it really does say a lot that Marjane very much cared so much for Matthias Ripa, and that they had such a very powerful connection that when he was gone, she couldn't do anything else. Like, she lost an integral piece of her life that it's hard to imagine what she can do to move, like if she could even be capable of moving on. Sometimes that's how life can be, and that's how love can be as well. Like, she found her perfect match, and when her perfect match is gone, then sometimes the best answer would be to eventually go and meet them in the afterlife. And I'm not saying this is not an advocation for taking your own life. That's not what happened with Marjane Satrapi. Sometimes that's what the body, that's what the body does. And a broken heart can feel like a very serious sickness at that point. It is very sad. But to look back into the legacy of Marjane Satrapi, she's not only an established filmmaker, but at the same time, she is an icon of resistance. And this is another example as to why it is important to go and check out Persepolis right now. I mean, it's not just the fact that we can have a better understanding of what's happening in the world right now, not to mention the perfect coincidence, considering that Donald Trump initiated an illegal war to go and attack Iran. And I know that situation is complicated. This is not a matter of a black and white case where one is a good guy and one is not. Like, I know, like, the regime in Iran is pretty bad, but the U.S. is not a good one either. You cannot say that the U.S. are good guys, especially with Donald Trump in power, especially with the fact that when you do know that Donald Trump is just acting like the next Osama bin Laden just to avoid accountability over the fact that he is a pedophile. And even their supporters know this because they know that maintaining conservatism means supporting pedophilia. And that's what all Donald Trump supporters are doing, and they know this very well, which is why it is not okay to be a Trump supporter. So if you do support Trump, change your beliefs, because your conservatism makes you a bad person, and no one should go and love you and respect you. And I hope you go and have amounts of debt. Anyways, but back to what I was saying. The thing is, yes, it is important to have that understanding in the world right now. But at the same time, it's also to go and honor the legacy of Marjane Satrapi. It's also to understand her life, and also why is it that she has been recognized as a great example of resistance and fighting against fascism, conservative values, far-right extremism, and authoritarianism. In fact, she is actually so iconic, I almost forgot to go and mention that even the French president, Emmanuel Macron, even put out a statement about this, where he stated here, "Her passing marks the loss of a leading figure in French culture and a freedom-loving artist whose work carried a universal message and earned her immense international acclaim." So if she is able to go and get that much attention, even from the French president, that's how you could tell that she has made a significant cultural impact. It is very sad to hear that she is gone, but may Marjane Satrapi rest in peace, and that we will never forget to keep fighting that good fight the same way that she does, or that she did. And with that said, now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you all, what do you all think about the legacy of Marjane Satrapi? If you have seen films like Persepolis, or if you have seen her other films, or if you are familiar with the life of Marjane Satrapi, please share your thoughts. Let me know what you think. All right, so let's see now. Rest in peace, Marjane Satrapi. In Arabic, I'm not going to go and pronounce that because I know it is the Arabic pronunciation of rest in peace, but if I would go and say that, I would really screw that up. Anyways, she is such a great artist, writer, and filmmaker. I remember reading and watching Persepolis for film studies back at university. Not only is the movie about her personal life during the Iranian Revolution, but it is also about struggles, freedom, and feminism. Thank you for sharing the story with us, Marjane. Also, Matt, don't forget that there is Netanyahu doing the war, who is also Osama bin Laden. Yes, that is true. That is true that a part of it is actually because Netanyahu said so. So there is that controversial aspect. So we cannot get Israel off the hook on this one, considering that they have been doing their fair share of war crimes as well, and that we need to ensure that we do see the day that Israel will face consequences to their actions, and that it will be written in history or in modern history that Israel have been the villains in our modern times. Let's see what else we got here. It's very unfortunate to hear this. I remember when I first discovered Persepolis from word of mouth online back in the late 2000s and wanting to see it because of its amazing art style. I also later checked out the graphic novel as well, and I'm shocked how visually accurate it looked from the original source. To Marjane herself, even though I never met her, your beautiful soul will not be forgotten, and we will remember your works as well. May she rest in peace. I remember shortly after you put out your review of Persepolis, I decided to watch it again since it has been years since I last saw it, and that new watch made such a difference. May Marjane rest in peace, and hopefully her story can live on forever as a dark and inspiring reminder. Also rest in peace, Peeble Bryson and Martha Lewis. Let's see here. True story. I had the rare luck to see Marjane Satrapi when she did a conference in my regional library in Bordeaux, right in the midst of the Arab Spring in the early 2010s. I didn't get a chance to get her autograph, but just seeing and interacting with her was enough for me. May she rest in peace, and in the Islamic paradise, again, rest in peace in Arabic. I'm just doing it out of respect, because the thing is that I know I am going to mess up the pronunciations. I often do that with names alone. I'm not going to go and try to mess that up in terms of speaking in Arabic. So yeah, I would need training before I could have the confidence to go and properly pronounce that. So anyways, let's see what other comments are there. It's really sad and heartbreaking Marjane is no longer with us. I haven't seen Persepolis, but I should definitely give it a chance, especially to honor her. She reminds us that resistance is key when we fight against those who want power. I'm very happy that Marjane at least gets to reunite with her husband. May she rest in peace. Yeah, I suppose that is the little silver lining in this entire tale, that she gets to go back with Matthias again, wherever they may be. Let's see. I'll admit that I'm not really familiar with Marjane Satrapi and her work, and I unfortunately haven't seen Persepolis, but this is definitely a tragic loss, especially with the impact she has left with her work and her resistance. She is absolutely someone we can learn from. Yeah. Israel also detained the sister of Ireland's president. The Israeli government deserves just as much hell as the Iranian and Trump regimes. Rest in peace, Satrapi. Oh, yeah, that is... Ugh. Yeah, that is true, isn't it? Oh, God, yeah. It's like the more you read about Israel, the worse they are. My God. Let's see. I'll see if there is one more comment I could go and read here. I haven't read this one yet, actually. This is such a tragic passing, especially considering that she was only 56, and the fact that Persepolis might actually be the first black and white animated film to be nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars. I don't know, because there are a few instances that when you do go into the modern times it was actually in color. So I don't know if it would really count because like, I don't know if there's rules like technically if it would be like fully in black and white or stuff like that. But yeah, this is just to say that technically Persepolis is not 100% black and white, but still, I mean, it definitely deserves that Oscar nomination. Also, it could be argued that the cancer indirectly claimed her life since that's how her husband passed away last year. Deadpool said it best, "The worst thing about cancer is what it does to others. It's why the day that mankind finally beat cancer must be designated as a global holiday." Oh, yeah, that is a good point, actually, considering that he passed away of cancer. Yeah, like, since since Matthias's life was cut short, then like it has definitely done some emotional damage to Marjane as well. Okay, you do bring up a good point. So, of course, with all that said, once again, may Marjane rest in peace. And if you can, go and watch Persepolis. It is a wonderful film, and it does provide a great example of, you know, what's going on in the world with all the wars and authoritarianism that's being ruled over and how we should fight against it. All right, so we're going to go on to our next break right now. And when we do come back, we're actually going to get into a two-parter story in which I will be talking about a very controversial announcement that was made. But first and foremost, with this part one, we are going to see some of the projects that have been revealed in this, so stay tuned for that. Man. Oh, we're on. Sorry, folks. As we were on the break, I was just checking my emails and I saw one where someone actually, or there's this press company that automatically gave me a screener. Like, I didn't even ask for it. But the thing is, I was just so disgusted by it because they automatically gave me a screener for the new Kevin Spacey movie. And I'm just there like, ew, no, why would you even send me that? No, So yeah, I was just so grossed out by that. So yeah, don't expect me to go and talk about that thing. I'd rather stay away from Kevin Spacey at all costs. But anyways, let's go back into the subject at hand. Now, when it comes to our next story, yes, we are going to go into a two-parter because there is one aspect of this that I'm going to say right now, it deserves its own segment and it is worth having it be a grand finale. But I want to go in this one to go and talk about the main news that has been released on this. And yeah, it's not good because honestly, when it comes to the shows that have been revealed here, they are worth talking about on their own, and they are worth highlighting how both problematic and stupid that they can be. So without further ado, let us go and talk about Amazon's AI animated series. So a couple of weeks ago, Amazon had this special conference going on, or I don't know if it was Amazon specifically that did this, but there was a special AI conference called AI on the Lot, and Amazon was there to go and reveal some new projects that are part of their Gen AI Creator Fund. And with this Gen AI Creators Fund, the main thing they wanted to do is to go and showcase a piece of tech that they have in order to go and help out with creative AI called Project Nara. Now, to go into my source here on Animation Magazine, to go and describe Project Nara, it says here, Project Nara is an end-to-end collaborative workspace that integrates AI production agents with professional tools such as Maya, Blender, Nuke, Unreal Engine, and Adobe Suite. It combines third-party video models with a proprietary model portfolio trained on Amazon MGM Studios' existing IPs with the capacity to solve complex challenges like character consistency, smooth motion between shots, and cross-shot continuity. Key features of Project Nara include a model-agnostic architecture that routes each task to the optimal AI model, compounding intelligence that makes every subsequent production faster and more efficient, production-aware AI agents that carry full creative context across titles, a camera-to-cloud data bridge preserving on-set data end-to-end, and complete provenance tracking for IP protection. And from there, they revealed 3 animated series that they have approved of as part of this big initiative to go and launch Amazon's own AI animated series. Now, for this segment here, I'm only going to be highlighting 2 of them. One of which, that's going to be for a little later because that deserves its own entire conversation. Now, the first one that they have revealed is called Love Diana Music Hunters, to which it says here, based on Pocket.watch creator partner Diana, the most followed girl in the world on YouTube, this young band of K-pop space traveling musicians races to planet Goo, where they must perform a concert to restore the music and save the aliens. Created by Albie Hecht at Pocket.watch, former president of entertainment at Nickelodeon and developer of SpongeBob SquarePants. Basically, with Albie Hecht, to give you a little more context on that, he's the one who actually did help out to give us not just SpongeBob, but also Blue's Clues and I believe Dora the Explorer as well. Not to mention also being a producer on some of the Nickelodeon movies back in the late 90s and early 2000s, including some of the Rugrats films as well. So basically, with Love Diana Music Hunters, we actually do see a big piece of innovation from AI. And that is now, thanks to the tech that AI has given us, we can now go and have ripoffs much faster than ever before. I mean, it hasn't even been a year yet since K-pop Demon Hunters is 1 year old. So in that regards, it's kind of surprising that already they're getting their own knockoff animated series that's going to be coming out with freaking, what is it? Love Diana Music Hunters? Like, okay, that thing right there is just laughably shameless in terms of like, oh, Music Hunters, and it stars a K-pop group, hey? I see. I wonder what you're copying this from. And one thing I want to go and also add is the group themselves, in which we got a picture over here of a trio of female singers, which, again, very K-pop Demon Hunter like. But there's also one thing that I want to go and comment right over here. Now, as you guys know, I am in full support of having diversity and inclusion be represented in entertainment, especially in animation. It could do a good dose of diversity and having different groups of people be represented, whether it be with people of color, people of different religions, the LGBTQ plus community, and so on and so forth. I'm all in support of that. But when it comes to this, however, this is a little bit off because this is supposed to be a K-pop group, right? Because as it says here, like in the description, that this is a young band of K-pop space traveling musicians. Why is it that the K-pop group is being led by a blonde white chick? I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit off because K-pop is short for Korean pop. Shouldn't the requirement of being in a K-pop group is to be Korean? I highly doubt that this white girl is Korean. And not to mention, we also got this black girl also on the side. She also feels a bit out of place. I mean, the only one that feels like could be a qualifier to be in a K-pop group is this little Zoe knockoff right over here, and that's it. But and maybe I could be wrong. I will admit, I'm not that familiar with K-pop, but I gotta say, I don't know. It's not a situation where you really can have mixed races going on in a K-pop group. Again, feel free to go and correct me if I'm wrong, But I'm just saying, I look at this and I feel like this mutation of K-pop Demon Hunters and the Powerpuff Girls, I don't think this qualifies as a K-pop group. But there is one thing that I gotta say. And honestly, this is just out of morbid curiosity. But considering this is supposed to be like this animated show starring K-pop stars and stuff like that. And I do see, I do see some people correcting me. Someone mentioning Tati Gabrielle is part Korean. Well, that's part Korean though. But anyways, again, I could be wrong with my statement. But one thing I gotta say though, I would be very curious to know if they're also going to be using AI in order to make the songs. Because again, this is supposed to be an AI show starring K-pop singers. So are they also going to be using that AI in order to go and produce the songs? And if so, are they still going to follow the trend of making K-pop Demon Hunters knockoffs? Like, I am very curious. I want to go in here if they could go and provide some great hits, such as How It's Finished. Or maybe you can also bring in like a rival band and they'll have their own songs, such as Soft Drink and Your Totem. Or maybe you can also have another one where, like, you know, the main singers can call out the rivals and they can have a song that is called Call Out. But then, of course, if there's got to be one song we all have to go and listen to, it has to be the number 3 sensation, Bronzy. I'm definitely excited for that. But yeah, I will say, overall, this is honestly ridiculous. So, like, this is a clear K-pop Demon Hunters ripoff, and at best, I feel like this is laughably bad. But sadly, however, when it comes to the next one, it's not really much of a laughing matter because this is exactly what animation fans and animators alike have been warning people of what AI is going to do. And this is sadly exactly the case with the next one called Cupcake and Friends. A relatable Cupcake and her friends face the hilarious and thrilling challenges of a sleepover with unexpected twists and turns at every corner, which is created by BuzzFeed Studios. And this is actually inspired by a little web series that you may have heard of before called The Good Advice Cupcake, in which it's a little cupcake that in each little video, she would go and spread positivity or just put out, like, you know, little good advice to go on your day, to take care of yourself, you know, to be, to love yourself more and stuff like that. You know, just little things like drink more water, be happy of the little accomplishments, make sure that you rest. If you're only surviving today, that's perfectly okay, and all that kind of stuff. However, in the case of the Good Advice Cupcake here, and with what they have done with this series, unfortunately, this is a case where not only did the original creator of the Good Advice Cupcake did not provide her consent to go and make this, but BuzzFeed straight up stole the Good Advice Cupcake to turn it into an AI product. In fact, this is actually what I have here is a quote from the creator of the Good Advice Cupcake, Lauren Brantz, and she put out her comment regarding the announcement of her creation being turned into an AI series, to which it states right over here, I am horrified and disgusted by BuzzFeed taking my character, the Good Advice Cupcake, and giving it to an AI platform. My time at BuzzFeed was marked by continually being taken advantage of and lied to. They repeatedly assured me in good faith that they would never do anything with Cuppy without my input, yet offered me no legal options, insisting that I would never need them. The news that this character, who is based on my own personality, reality and whom I created as a microphone to spread love and positivity has been taken and turned into a soulless AI puppet feels like having my intestines pulled out of my body. Somebody leaked the news to me early on that there were talks happening, and I pleaded with them, and I pleaded with the CEO, Jonah Peretti, directly not to do it. Instead, he tried to talk me into signing an NDA. Obviously, I did not. This is an assault on artists everywhere. I encourage you to boycott BuzzFeed and any AI produced or adjacent animation. And that's the thing that honestly, with what happened to the Good Advice Cupcake, it's honestly very terrifying because again, this is exactly what people have been saying of what AI is going to do with animation. They're going to steal other people's creations and they would just go and produce their own products so that CEOs can make more of a profit without paying any creators whatsoever. It's really heartbreaking to go and see that this happened to the creation of Lauren Brandt. But also, what's extra frustrating to hear about this is that this is not the first time that it happened in which BuzzFeed got massive controversy over trying to do something like this. There was another IP that BuzzFeed does own that they wanted to also turn into an AI product, but thankfully, due to massive backlash, it didn't happen. And that is specifically with Chicken Nugget, in which maybe you have heard about Chicken Nugget before, which is about like these cute little animals that have their own little cartoons going on. You know, like I've seen a few of them and they are definitely very cute. But the thing with Chicken Nugget is that, again, BuzzFeed also wanted to go and take that property and try to turn that into another piece of AI, like basically taking all of those cartoons and just feeding it to the AI machine so that AI can go and produce more Chicken Nugget cartoons instead of having the team of animators. And thankfully, the creator of Chicken Nugget managed to go and really make this great boycotting campaign to stop BuzzFeed in order to do so. And it actually worked. They actually succeeded in making sure that the Chicken Nugget cartoons would not become another product of AI. But sadly, it doesn't look like it worked out with the Good Advice Cupcake here, and that unfortunately became a casualty to AI. So I really do feel sorry for Lauren with what happened to the Good Advice Cupcake, because that is another one when from time to time on social media, I have seen some of those. And again, they're very cute. They're nice. You know, they had a nice little spark to the day to go and, get some encouragement to, to go through the whole day and stuff like that. It was very nice. But now it's just going to turn into a piece of garbage because now it's just going to become another AI series. So overall, at least when it comes to those two shows, yeah, it really is concerning to hear that these major corporations like Amazon are really going to go and move forward with trying to deliver AI animation. And I'm not, the thing is, what I'm not worried about is if they suddenly become successful, because honestly, with the fact that they are AI, I highly doubt that. But it's just going to be with the aggressive push of AI that they're just going to keep on doing this again and again and force out animators out of their jobs so that they can go and have AI be, straight up replace them, which is exactly what we have seen with the Good Advice Cupcake with BuzzFeed and their desperate push of trying to get into AI so that the CEO can just make more money for himself. So yeah, safe to say that I'm not going to be watching these, and honestly, they're already trash as is. I mean, you got one that's absolutely morally bankrupt. That's now one of the definitive examples of AI stealing works from animators. And then you got another one that's just a shameless ripoff of K-pop Demon Hunters. It's just capitalizing off of the success of another IP out there. So yeah, I just thought that those two are worth bringing, they're worth bringing up on their own. All right, so with that said, now I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you all, what do you all think about those two AI shows, or even the whole Gen AI initiative? I'd like to know what you think about Love, Diana, Music Hunters, and Cupcake Friends. If you have any comments, feel free to go and share them. And don't worry, yes, the next one will be coming up. Again, it's worth mentioning as its own thing. All right, let's see now. This AI experiment from Amazon looks terrible. First, they're trying to rip off K-pop demon hunters, and now they're stealing work from someone else. And honestly, this scares me because if this works out for Amazon, they might include AI on their next existing projects like the upcoming season 5 of Invincible. We need to call this out and support artists' work. I mean, I don't know how far they're going to go with it. Like, I don't know if they're going to be at the point where they're going to force AI onto the stuff that they already have released. I'm just going to say right now, I doubt that the team at Invincible are going to go and let Amazon trample all over them just for the sake of having AI onto the series. But it is still very concerning that Amazon is still doing so in the first place, and that companies like BuzzFeed are forcing this out and purposely screwing over animators on this. So in that regards, yeah, this is just something that we need to spread the word to not support this, and that to openly explain that, yeah, to openly proclaim loud enough so that the companies can hear that we do not want this. Anyways, let's see what else we have here. These AI projects that Amazon are trying to do along with everyone else involved in there is one of the stupidest ideas I've heard this year. Honestly, these projects, along with, I'll get into this later, sound very uninspired and weak looking. Like, come on, Love, Diana, Music Hunters is clearly a K-pop Demon Hunters ripoff, and I think that one is produced by Pocket Watch, I think. That studio previously worked with Butch Hardman, by the way, making cheap online cartoons, but yeah, this idea is awful. By the way, it's also worth noting that technically with I'll Be Wecked, I believe after I'll Be Hecked, I think I should say, he, after Nickelodeon, I believe he was the one responsible to make Ryan's World such a major thing and making it such a big franchise as well. So I'm not really that surprised that the dude is kind of morally bankrupt with how he would go and try to make Ryan's World a massive franchise. He would then go and try to make AI shows, and not to mention AI shows that clearly rip off other popular stuff. Let's see what we got here. Honestly, this is just terrible. The fact that they're using AI to making the blatantly thievery of a character, the ripoff of one and more, this looks like absolute crap. Amazon, I have just one thing to say on you: dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow. Maybe not in that order, but you get what I mean. Let's see. The first one is really just a huge laughingstock, but the second one is morally disgusting. I hope that both of them fall flat in their faces, whether they're made or not. All right, let's see here. This is truly awful, seeing Amazon making and distributing AI slop, and seeing it basically stealing the works of animators is disgusting, especially with one of them basically being a full-on K-pop Demon Hunters ripoff, and one that is basically stealing someone's work. That is morally horrible, and honestly, I'm hoping people will speak up more about this and we won't watch these. But the next one is even worse. Oh, I can tell you that for sure, dude. All right, I think I'll read one more and then we're going to go on to the final break. I feel really bad for Lauren now that her show is getting ruined by AI. BuzzFeed has been the butt of the joke for many years, but they definitely currently on the deep end. They're definitely on the deep end of going AI. As for the other projects, Love, Diana, Music Hunters, it is laughably bad. That title alone also gives me a laugh. To be honest, I'd rather have a ripoff made by the Asylum and Video Brain Quito over AI slop. At least it's made by humans. Yeah, Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the asylum, well, then again, with the asylum nowadays, considering that considering that they recently did that Winnie the Pooh movie that also has Bruce Campbell on it as Owl. Like, the asylum is one of those companies that's not afraid to go and use AI. Like, they know they're shameless, so I mean, what do they got to lose if they would go and use AI? You know what I mean? All right, so we're going to go on to our final break, and when we do come back, we are going to go and discuss about the third animated series that Amazon announced. And oh man, not only is that one the most talked about, it is also the most controversial. I'd even dare say it's already a top contender as one of the most controversial animation news stories of the year. So stay tuned for that. And now, everyone, it is time that we will go and conclude this episode off with the grand finale. And with this grand finale, oh man, not only is this a continuation from the last story we just talked about, but this is actually another case in which the cartoon community expressed massive outrage. And you guys know me. Whenever the cartoon community would be up in arms and they would be in full-on rage mode, throwing out their temper tantrums and harassing animators, by that point, you know that I would be among the first to go and call them out and say that, no, this behavior is absolutely wrong. But in this case, however, this is actually a rare instance where I'm going to have to side with the cartoon community on this one because the outrage is actually justified in this case, especially when many people would say that this is one of the biggest betrayals in the animation industry in recent years, especially when this actually involves what was once considered to be a beloved icon in the industry. So with that said, let's get into the third AI Amazon animated series. And along with Love, Diana, Music Hunters, and Cupcake and Friends, the third project that was revealed is an animated series, or an AI animated series, called Punky Duck. And to go and describe to you what Punky Duck is about, let me get back here on my source on Animation Magazine. As it states here, Punky Duck is a lovable punk duck and his best friend Smiley Cat tear through a widely exaggerated Los Angeles, hilariously stumbling into alien invasions, giant monsters, robot criminal conspiracies, telenovela-style family drama, and supernatural mayhem, all while trying and usually failing to do the right thing. And why is this so controversial? Because this series was created by none other than the Emmy Award-winning animator and filmmaker Jorge R. Gutierrez, the writer and director of the animated feature The Book of Life for 20th Century Studios, the creator of El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera for Nickelodeon, and Maya and the Three for Netflix. And if you have seen the picture of Punky Duck, then you could tell that in terms of the art style that it delivered, even though, yes, this is AI generated, it does look like something that was crafted by Jorge Gutierrez. And at first, many people were in massive shock when they heard about this news. A lot of them were in disbelief, in fact. How the fridge would Jorge Gutierrez suddenly find himself working with AI? That can't actually be the case. Some people even thought about maybe it's a similar case to what happened with Lauren. Maybe they stole the works of Jorge Gutierrez in order to go and produce their stuff, and they would just say that, oh, well, Jorge Gutierrez is involved with this, so now he's got a new series that's made with AI. Maybe that could be the case. Like, there's no way Jorge Gutierrez would be involved with an AI project, right? Well, sadly, though, no, he actually would. And we even got evidence of it in which that conference that I talked about where all these AI projects have been revealed, AI on the Lot, he was actually there. Here's a picture where we do see Jorge Gutierrez at AI on the Lot talking about Punky Duck and working with AI. In fact, this is actually coming from a tweet by Kevin Bankston, to which he states here, at AI on the Lot, Jorge Gutierrez says that animating with AI from starting in March pitch to green light today was like having sex and then they hand you the baby, eager to use AI to bring jobs back to LA. So basically using the whole jobs excuse in order to go and, in order to go and promote AI generated content, in order to promote AI to say that, oh, it's going to bring more jobs to our country. It's going to bring more jobs back to our city. And by the way, as people have mentioned in the chat wall, I do understand that the analogy that he put out, yeah, honestly, that gave me the creeps as well. That honestly, it just makes no sense and it just sounds massively weird. Like having sex and then immediately having the baby, like maybe that could be true, but that baby popping out is going to turn into a deformed monster that could barely even function as a living creature in the first place. Like, you just look, you and your partner, you're just going to look down at that weird, ugly baby just like wiggling around like, oh, you look down and you're like, should we take it out of its misery or should we keep it? Well, what should we do with this thing? Okay, yeah, exterminate it. Get the flamethrower. So yeah, honestly, that just sounds very off right there. But honestly, it is very disheartening to see that with the evidence that yes, Jorge Gutierrez is indeed promoting AI in this case. And it is such a massive shock to see him actually do that for two particular reasons. For number one, it's kind of shocking to see that he would even do so, because it would be one thing if Jorge Gutierrez was struggling. If he is just one of those animators that's having a hard time to go and find work out there, and if he would be at the brink of homelessness, for example, then honestly, that would be one reason that could explain why he would go and actually sell his own moral values to go and work on an AI project like that. Like, that would be one thing. But this is Jorge Gutierrez we're talking about. He has so far been busy with numerous of projects, not just his own, where he's making his own pilot, like with El Guapo, and he also has that movie, I, Chihuahua. But he's also been working with other studios as well. Now, I don't know if he's still working on those, or maybe maybe they've been canceled or something like that. I don't know. But currently, from what we know, he has been busy in numerous of different studios so far. Like, he's with Netflix working on an adult animated series. He's with Disney Television Animation working on one of Disney's recognizable IPs, as they say. It still remained a secret. And he is at Warner Brothers working on the Speedy Gonzales movie. Now, I have heard through the grapevine, according to sources who are close to Jorge Gutierrez, they claim that the reason why he did this was because allegedly he was actually scared about the Paramount Warner Brothers merger, and that if that does happen, then he could end up losing his job on the Speedy Gonzales movie. So in that regards, he kind of immediately jumped to another opportunity to maintain having a job. So that's why he joined Amazon to work on this AI project. Now, rather if that's true or not, I don't know, but it is worth mentioning at the very least to try to find an explanation on why he would do this, because if it would be because he's struggling, that is highly doubtful. But at the same time, there's also the second reason why this is so shocking that he would do so in the first place, because he has in the past on record spoken out against AI. And this is an example of what he has stated, calling out AI in the first place. And this is a tweet that he has done back in 2024, to which he has stated here, the original animation creators of the future are learning skills by working up the ladder with experience and teamwork. With all the AI short-term thinking, a whole generation of creators will not be able to grow to make original hit movies and series. The ecosystem is in peril. And that is wild because, like, yes, I highly agree with him there. And this is just one of the several tweets and posts that he has made on social media when calling out AI. So it's honestly weird where suddenly, again, he's just selling out his moral values, where the dude went from saying that AI is causing the ecosystem to be in peril to now suddenly saying that AI is going to bring jobs back in LA. What the fridge caused that massive shift right there? It makes no sense. So in that regards, you can imagine the amount of heavy backlash that Jorge Gutierrez has received from both animation fans and from artists and animators alike, even those who have been close to Jorge Gutierrez. So yeah, he was in such controversy at the end of May, where it didn't actually take long for Jorge to go and actually backtrack on his entire thing. Where on Twitter, about like a day or two after that announcement, he first went to go and say, learning a lot from many of you. Thank you. Lots of information that I'm digesting wholeheartedly. I am absolutely understanding the concern of using AI to assist an animation pipeline. For all those showing me grace, I really appreciate it. I have a lot to think about. And eventually, he put out this response, to which it states, I have decided to drop out of the AI program at Amazon. I will not be making a Punky Duck series. Actions speak louder than words. My intent was to showcase artists, both new and seasoned, both inside and outside the studios, driving this new tech. My sincerest apology to those I upset. I promise to do better moving forward. Thank you for your patience with me. I will try harder. So with that regards, okay, that is nice. You know, that is like a step in the right direction. At least like now there's not like, at least for now, from what we know, there isn't going to be any Punky Duck project, and Jorge is backing out from working with AI, at least with the Amazon project. But there's one thing, however, that ever since I first saw that, it does raise some doubt. As the younger generation say, this post right here honestly feels sus. And it's not necessarily what he said specifically, but where he posted it, specifically on Twitter. And again, I have two reasons why this is massively sus here. Because number one, when it comes to Twitter users, and for those of you who still actively use Twitter, you know that this is true. People who are still on that website, generally, they are more reactionary. That they immediately go and react without even thinking twice about what was actually said. Because Twitter's ecosystem, like, it's always been like this, but ever since, like, especially after Elon took over, it has become much worse and worse. People are a lot more reactionary and are a lot more likely to take things at face value without actually going down to go and check the facts. So you can imagine with Jorge Gutierrez immediately putting out this post, you are going to see many people giving praise to him, not just accepting his apology, but also you will see people giving him great praise, saying that he got a massive W, calling him the GOAT. And it's not just your average Twitter user, but on top of that, you also got this when it comes to professional artists and animators and even recognizable influencers and YouTubers. Like, you see people like just accepting, saying that they're proud of him, calling him the GOAT, praising praising him and thanking him on that occasion, saying that, oh, he got a massive W, showing all these cheers and all that kind of stuff. Like, immediately, people just loving Jorge Gutierrez, praising him and forgiving him immediately for that little incident right there. And by the way, it's also worth mentioning, considering that this is on Twitter, am I the only one that finds it so messed up that someone like Jorge Gutierrez can immediately go and get massive praise, immediately get forgiveness, no problem, for doing something that is as harmful and damaging as using AI? Whereas you get someone like either Gooseworks or Vivian Medrano, where they would constantly get harassment over the smallest things. Even when it comes to Gooseworks, for example, the amount of harassment that she has gotten, especially the hate and outrage that she has received on Twitter just over very minor things, or even like absolute nothing burgers, because they're just based on creative decisions that some fans don't necessarily agree. You see the hypocrisy that's going on? You see how this is a little bit messed up? This is why. And I mean, we know why there is this hypocrisy going on in the first place. You don't have to tell me, but it is still worth highlighting and to go and mention. So yeah, it's pretty messed up to see that so many people, including recognizable artists, YouTubers, and more, that they would just immediately go and take this at face value and decided that, okay, well, he apologized, so let's move on as if nothing happened, and Jorge Gutierrez is still a beloved icon. But at the same time, there's also a second reason that I want to go and bring up on why this is so sus. And honestly, the reason why is because, as we all know, when it comes to Twitter, and this has been proven again and again through statistics and stuff like that, that more than half of the users on Twitter are bots. Some people say that it's above 70%, some people say it's above 80%, but at the very least, it is more than half. So from there, you can imagine that whenever there's something that's worth highly engaging over, and it has been proven, like even with there's a controversy related to Chappelle Roan, in which the majority of the backlash against her were only driven by bots. The thing is that when there's a trend going on, you can bet that there's going to be bots coming in that they're going to use their AI systems to go and overinflate the amount of engagement that's going to be, to AI generate the amount of views, the amount of likes, the amount of replies, and the amount of reposts that they would try to go and do in order to go and fully capitalize on whatever trend that's going on Twitter, and thus making the original post or making the trend feel a lot more popular than what it actually is. And that's why I feel like when it comes to Jorge Gutierrez and putting out an apology specifically on Twitter, I feel like that is a strategic choice where he's taking advantage of reactionary users and the bots as well to make his apology feel more accepting and more positively received than what it may actually is. So that's why I feel like there's something, I feel like that it's massively off. Like, if you see him try to go and do the same thing on another platform, like on Blue Sky, or even on like the meta stuff, like on Facebook or on Instagram, I can guarantee you that it would not receive the same amount of praise as he got on Twitter. But the funny thing is, however, is that those people who wanted to give Jorge Gutierrez the W for doing that little apology, they ended up receiving an L in return, because as it turns out, not long after he sent out that apology, it turns out he may not have actually meant it, because then he immediately went to go and post this. Or technically, I will say, this is not his word specifically. This is just a repost from what someone else has said, but he is reposting it to go and share that this is also his thoughts as well. And it states here that no one would believe that how much AI is being used in all the big studios without getting themselves exposed. People and even artists working there are using it secretly, and honestly, I haven't worked with a single company for the past 2 years that haven't overused AI in their workflow. Most of the project that I have been involved wouldn't want me to spend much time because they would feed my work to AI, and that's a new normal, but it's always easier to target one person than a company or a platform you are using right now, I guess. So basically, with that post right there, it honestly feels like Jorge Gutierrez is more sorry that you got mad at him for using AI than he actually is sorry for using the AI in the first place. And this is why you should never go and immediately take an apology at face value. Now, I will say this. Is it possible for Jorge Gutierrez to go and get a second chance? Honestly, absolutely. I think there definitely is. But truthfully, if he wants to really get into the good graces of the animation industry and with animation fans alike, then he needs to do a lot of work. And trust me, I know this as well. I'm speaking as someone who has received a second chance after having a fuck up. And this is something that isn't immediately solved after just doing one quick apology. I had to spend a lot of time to go and prove that I've learned my lesson from last time or from that moment in which I really fucked up. And I have shown that I have grown from there. And in the case of Jorge Gutierrez, again, I think he still needs a lot more time to prove that he is much better than what he has displayed. Like, for now, can I really trust that Jorge Gutierrez has actually learned his lesson about AI? Honestly, I doubt it, especially when he would go and post stuff like this after his bullcrap apology, where now it honestly feels like he's just saying, I'm sorry you feel that way. In fact, he kind of like spelt it out, actually. He said, my sincere apology to those I upset. He didn't say, I'm sorry that I used AI. I understand that it's a bad piece of tech now. No, he apologized for upsetting people for it. It's doubtful if he has truly learned that using AI in general would actually be a bad thing. So again, maybe he deserves a second chance, but honestly, it's going to take a lot of time. And for now, he's just labeled as an AI bro. And if we want to know if he truly does learn his lesson, then whatever his next project may be, whatever's going to be coming out, rather it be the Speedy Gonzalez movie or his El Guapo pilot or whatever, we need to go and ask him, does this have AI? Because he has proven, and now he has a record where he's not against using the tech. So in that regards, we have to know that if that's still going to be happening. We'll just have to wait and see in the future if this is if he still has, if he's still willing to go and use AI for his upcoming projects. So with that said, now I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall, and I want to go and ask you all, how do you feel about the whole thing with Jorge Gutierrez? How do you feel about him using AI? And also, do you accept his apology? I would like to know what you think. All right. Now, that news was not only something I didn't expect at all, but it's one of the biggest betrayals I've ever faced, along with everyone I know in the animation industry. To Jorge, coming from a guy that has met him a couple of times, I'm not mad at your choice. I'm just disappointed in you. You had the potential to become as good as everyone else in the industry, and then you do this? Yeah, I just don't know if I want to continue supporting him. Well, at least we have Guillermo del Toro. At least I know he produced The Book of Life. Yes, I know he produced The Book of Life, but still, like, at least we know with Guillermo del Toro, he has always been and always will be against AI. So at least, like, we could still trust him. Anyways, I am honestly beyond disappointed seeing Jorge Gutierrez actually support AI, even after previously saying that he was against it, is awful. And while he backed out of the project, I immediately took back my credit to him once he brought out that response, and honestly now his reputation is severely damaged, and he's basically alienated the animation community and the people who've worked with him in the past. Exactly, man. Like, that's the thing with second chances. They're not something that can easily be solved by just giving out a quick little apology on Twitter. That's not how life actually works. You have to actually go and prove that you have learned your lesson, that you did have that turning point. And is that actually a turning point? Well, with stuff like this, I highly doubt it. So who knows at this point? Anyways, honestly, and pardon my language, what the fuck, Jorge? This is the biggest piece of BS and hypocrisy I've seen from an animation legend. First off, you decided to use AI and use that analogy to describe it. Then you apologize for it. Then you backpedal on apology. Even if his next projects are amazing, the damage has been done to his career, and it's going to take a long time to fix. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't trust that he won't use AI in the future. He has talent and a distinct art style. I can't trust that he's not going to use AI in the future, either artistically or through writing. Yeah, I get what you mean. In fact, like, ever since then, we haven't even heard Jorge Gutierrez making a comment about AI. We don't know if after that apology, he has this new perspective about AI being bad. Anyways, it's absolutely sad and heartbreaking that Jorge betrayed us all. Granted, on one hand, at least he responded, but on the other hand, it'll take more than just an apology to fully give him a pass. Also, by the way, I see people saying bullying works, but honestly, I do understand, but I'm against bullying, especially given he has a wife and kid. Regardless, I feel betrayed and disappointed. And that's also one thing I want to go and say. Apparently, because of this controversy, there have been people who went out of their way to not only straight up harass Jorge Gutierrez, and that's one thing, but also some people have harassed and even sent death threats to his wife and kid. And at that point, we should know better than to go and do that. I think it is safe to say that we shouldn't do any of that, and anybody who would go and do so, to go and harass and send death threats to his family, in that regards, those people are equally as bad, if not worse, than Jorge Gutierrez using AI. So that's one thing, of course, we have to go and call out. It doesn't absolve Jorge Gutierrez for what he has done, but no, harassment and death threat is not the answer, because it's equally as bad as using AI. In fact, using Twitter in general is as bad as using AI, but I got the feeling that many people are not ready to have that discussion yet. But yeah, like with all this though, yeah, even some people are just saying, yeah, I'm done now. And I don't blame you, because with all this, it really does show that we have just witnessed right there a massive downfall of an animation legend. We haven't seen a downfall of a prominent animation figure this bad since John Lasseter, in fact. So has Jorge Gutierrez truly learned his lesson? Well, we can only wait and see with what he does in the future. But for now, though, the only way we could describe Jorge Gutierrez is that he's just another cringy AI bro. And with that said, that should do it for this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. Thank you all so much for joining me on this, and tune in next time for more fun-filled adventures of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And also, I just want to go and say right now, if you guys enjoyed your time here on AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast, then don't forget to go and subscribe to the YouTube channel and also the AniMat Live Twitch channel. And at the same time, if you guys are listening to this on whatever podcast service you're listening to, rather it be on Spotify, Apple, Google, and many more, then don't forget to go and follow me there too. And with that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for joining me on this, and thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.